And now, the First Alert Storm Team, live from the 13 Now Digital Desk. This is Tropic Topics, sponsored by Peden Heating and Air Conditioning and Mariana Toyota.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Tropic Topics. I'm meteorologist Kristen Kennedy, joined by meteorologist Grace Thornton. And of course, if you've been watching News 13, maybe you have been checking our website, mypanhandle.com, or even frequently checking the Storm Track 13 app for some tropical updates. We are watching a couple of waves out in the Atlantic, so we're just here to tell you a little bit more about what's going on locally and how we could be impacted, if at all, and more statistics about what usually happens this time of year. Grace?
If at all.
I
like that.
Yeah.
I like that statement.
Yeah, so we're starting off today with pretty dry weather. We are seeing some pop-up showers and storms, mainly over the Gulf of Mexico. Not too much. Franklin County, the Forgotten Coast, has picked up on a little bit of shower and storm activity, but for the most part, it's not looking too bad out there. But of course, we do have more moisture returning, and those rain chances will be on the rise with the cold front coming in from the northwest. You can see it here on Futurecast. It is not going to dip all the way down south, so majority of that cool and dry air will not make it to the panhandle. Instead, it looks like we'll have a surface low trying to develop on that stalled out boundary, which I know a lot of people see a low in the Gulf of Mexico this time of year, probably think it's something tropical. They need to be concerned. This is not one of those situations. Instead, it's just your typical area of low pressure that's going to spin in some moisture from the Gulf and lead to the weather that everyone seems to really not like, which is those showers and
dreary
storms.
days over the next, late week this week. So
not a complete washout, but certainly a lot more wet compared to, I'd say, today and yesterday. So that's going to be the trend for our local forecast over the next couple of days. Of course, we are still keeping an eye on some of the goings on in the Atlantic. So, Grace, I'll pass it over to you so you could just talk about a few of the different elements and what we're watching.
yeah, so right now we have Gulf temperatures, which are continuing to be very, very warm, 86, 85 degrees, and that's even a couple degrees less warm than it was even about a month ago. So I know we're seeing some 88, 87s out there, but the Gulf is very warm, and that is conducive for tropical activity. And down there towards the equator, we're watching our wave off the coast of West Africa. Now, this only has 20 to 40% chance of development over the next 5 days, or 48 hours, only about 20% chance. So that's not really the main one that we're watching for right now. And you can see it's kind of taking a pretty northwesterly track. As you can see that our other invest 91L is also taking, and that's going to be shifting north and west at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So pretty stagnant over the last couple days, and you can see it's pretty elongated as well, and that has a 50 to 80% chance of development over the next 5 days. So, and I was just reading, they do think tropical cyclone formation could be within the next 24 hours.
Okay.
That's what I just read.
Sometimes that's said, and then it's like past 24 hours.
Right.
Like, what's going on? So definitely something to be monitored. But just looking at the satellite imagery right now, that we're getting that visible satellite imagery, and it does look like there's a little bit more organization to it. So maybe that's why they're thinking within the next 24 hours something could form. But the satellite imagery you're looking at here also has the water vapor on top of it, and that is indicated by some of that orange you're seeing. That's very dry air. So, Grace, I think even if something does form, it's going to have to travel through some dry air, which is not conducive for tropical formation and certainly enhancement. And that is where the Saharan dust actually is a good factor to the forecast from a human perspective, because we don't want anything to form, right?
Yeah. So Saharan dust, you'll look at that, and what we just saw on our last slide, it's sitting right in front of our area of interest. So, and as we shift through the rest of the week, it's kind of going to be sitting there, and you can even see a little bit of spin on the forecast there, and that would kind of be the dust choking out that storm. So that's what we're looking at for this dust forecast, and then it kind of washes away a little bit, but you can see tons of dust even behind it. So even additional waves coming off of West Africa.
The one off of Africa is not given the highest chance of development because of that dust coming off again.
Yeah, going to have to deal with the same thing. So obviously there's some activity out there, but it's nothing to totally worry about just yet. We have some spaghetti models out here. So
tasty.
So these are just
different models,
various models,
showing you some algorithms and how the path could shape place. And you can kind of see that northwesterly movement there. Most models are very consistent in that northwesterly track, which is good. A more westerly track would put it closer to the Caribbean and then cause more of a potential for it to move into the Gulf of Mexico. So locally, we definitely want it to continue towards the northwest. And you can see that giant high that is developing in the Atlantic. That's kind of going to work as a steering system for this potential tropical low and the one behind it. So right now it looks like models are consistently allowing it to curve towards the north and northeast due to that subtropical ridge. There is potential to see a little bit of that weakness in the ridge, so that would be determining where exactly it would go, if it would continue its westward track or if it would move towards the northeast again. So we'll go ahead and just...
Sorry, I'm trying to figure myself out here.
Sometimes the graphics are hard to control from the middle of the newsroom versus our weather center. It's okay. I think we got to the point on that. So
So we'll head into...
That was just kind of showing off where the potential paths would go. Again, if there's a weakness in the ridge, then it could go further towards the west. Models have not shown that, and it's kind of rare. We're about maybe 5 days away from this, really taking shape. And usually within like 5 days, you kind of get a better understanding. 5 days out and longer, it's all a mess.
Right.
But for the past couple of days, those models have been really consistent, showing that recurve. Now, the storm hasn't formed yet, so any model path is still up in the air. Once it forms, we'll really have a better understanding on where exactly it's able to go, how strong it is, how some of those steering currents are going to impact it.
Right. And as we shift into the next couple months here, we're getting close to September as of
It's Thursday.
the end of the week.
Yeah, Thursday.
So September 10th is the peak of hurricane season and the peak of named storm season. So we're right on the cusp of that. So we're going to start to see, I know it was a very stagnant
First
August,
half of,
and that kind of scared people a little bit, but it is... you can see it's starting to churn out there. We've already got some areas of interest that we're tracking out there. Thankfully, we don't believe that this is going to be headed towards the U.S. at this point, and it's also not even a tropical depression yet.
Right.
So not much to worry about from where we're standing right now. But just another reminder that as we head into the next couple months, things are going to stay ramped up through September and October for sure.
Yeah, and then as we head towards the end of the year, usually there's a decline there. So hoping that we're not too busy talking about this year.
November 30th is the end of the season, the official end of the season. But as you can see, by November 10th and even after October 20th,
statistically, there's not much going on there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you've probably seen a lot going on. I know we've been giving updates, and just yesterday, even Grace, there was 4 areas of interest. Today we're down to just 2. So there's certainly some waves that need watching. There's potential for redevelopment as well, but right now it's just those 2 that we're keeping a close eye on. It's funny, we were talking about this earlier, the forecast predictions climatologically for the month of September when there are storms developing in the Atlantic. Where do they end up going? Well, when they develop all the way off from the coast of Africa, make their way through the central Atlantic,
they could go anywhere.
Essentially. Yeah, it kind of depends on where that ridge in the Atlantic is developing and how strong it is, where it'll steer it. Of course, it has potential to take just a straight west path and go all the way to the Caribbean and then move into the Gulf. There's potential for it to move up the East Coast. So, yeah, anywhere that there's anything that develops out in the Atlantic, like way out, it could essentially impact any coastal area from the Gulf Coast all the way up through New England, the Caribbean, and possibly just only impact the fish out at sea too. So
fish storm, which is what we think we're looking at here with the invest that we're watching at the current moment. That's in the middle of the Atlantic. So here's a little bit more in-depth look at some of the favored tracks. So as Kristen was talking about, most of that track is coming off the coast of West Africa and shifting into the Atlantic here and just kind of moving up like a fish storm, or the B track would be moving all the way west and going into the Gulf of Mexico. We do, I believe, still have an outlined area that is on watch in the Southern Caribbean right now, but nothing to watch. It's just on watch. There's nothing there just yet. So.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of areas that we watch this time of year too to see if there's anything that could spin up. Of course, the Southern Caribbean's the one spot, the Bay of Campeche is another. Basically anywhere within the Caribbean, and then further out, typically in the Atlantic, is where we see most of the development. This time of year, I mean, we're at peak season essentially, and you know, anything is possible. So this is kind of just an alert to let you know that right now there's nothing to be concerned about, but you do want to stay weather aware. We do urge you to stay updated. I mean, every day there's going to be a change essentially.
Yeah.
So make sure you stay with us here on News
Even
13.
I know last weekend, even from our 6 o'clock show to our 10 p.m. show, there were
You
changes.
probably had 2 different tropical forecasts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it changes all the time, can be hour by hour. But
Well, you
as
know,
we
the
were all-
weather changes all the time, and this is all dependent on all the conditions out there. I mean, there's so many different elements to tropical forecasting, so that's why it is a challenge, especially when we're trying to predict the path of a storm that hasn't even formed yet. So,
yeah, all the way on the other side of the world.
yeah,
So.
several hundred miles away from us, so yeah. But locally, we'll just go over your forecast here. I know we mentioned a cold front trying to come in and a low developing in the Gulf. Again, that low is not tropical, but it's going to spin up a lot of moisture. So right now, from about Thursday through Sunday, rain chances look to be the highest, not a washout, but certainly a better chance for some scattered shower and thunderstorm activity. I know that is coming for Labor Day weekend. I'm not saying you can't have outdoor plans, but you'll want a backup plan, somewhere to go if a thunderstorm does develop over you. Remember, you can hear the thunder, you can see the lightning, you're close enough to be struck by it, so definitely have somewhere to seek shelter because it does look like showers and storms will be likely at that time. But for now, Grace, Monday, Labor Day, not
too
looking
bad.
too bad.
Not
No,
too bad.
just our typical summertime pattern where it's really like a hit or miss chance. And I'll tell you what, the temperatures on this 7-day don't look bad, but they don't account for the humidity.
Right.
I was out there yesterday for just like, I tried to go to the pool for a little bit and I just immediately started sweating. It is so humid.
I was interviewing someone yesterday. They said, let's do it outside.
You
I
said,
was
please no.
like, okay, I guess that'll look best. But it's
But not for
awful.
me, it won't, right?
It's awful out there.
Yeah, today we'll have temperatures in the low 90s, but with humidity it'll feel more like the low 100s, and that will likely be the case for the next couple of days as well. So you definitely want to try to keep cool and stay hydrated.
Yeah, and also that track for that wave that we're tracking, track. But that is kind of set to be north of, I believe, areas like Jamaica and stuff like that
It's not
by about
expected
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So we'll have a greater understanding of
what's going to happen,
where it's going to turn in the Atlantic by about Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
So,
I would even say probably by Friday we'll
yeah.
have a really good understanding of what may happen. Again, the closer we get to it actually developing or moving closer, or at least following a certain track, is when we can kind of use our forecasting tools to get a better representative of where the path is going to go. So I think we've covered a lot.
yeah.
But,
I think people
you know, we don't have to
everything.
get too in depth because there's nothing super concerning. We just kind of
And also, Ross is going to hop on here on Thursday and give us an even
Another
deeper
update.
understanding of what's going on out there. So even in the next 48 hours, we could see some tropical development out there for that invest, but we also could not. So I would say
A little bit
stay
of a toss-up.
tuned. Yeah, stay tuned until Thursday. And obviously, we've got 5, 6, and 10 shows tonight, and then Ross will be giving even more updates on those shows. So.
One more thing I will add is just because we really have not had a lot to talk about in the tropics, I just do want people to make sure they have their hurricane safety kits. I'm not saying you have to run to the store right now and go grab your groceries and rush and panic, but you know, this week when you're grocery shopping, even next week, just remember to pick up a few things. And we do have a full list of those items that you will need to prepare for on our website. That's mypanhandle.com. And it's always a great idea to be fully stocked because trust
just
me,
be a
you
little
don't
bit
wanna be
mindful.
rushed.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys so much for joining us for Tropic Topics. Again, we'll have much more on News 13 throughout the day and the weeks ahead, of course, on mypanhandle.com. And go ahead and download that Storm Track 13 app on your mobile devices.
Thank you for watching Tropic Topics, sponsored by Peden Heating and Air Conditioning and Marietta Toyota. Be sure to download the Storm Track 13 app today to stay up to date with all of the latest weather information. For more local news, weather, sports, and more, visit mypanhandle.com.